What's up? It's your boy Reemus, and welcome to the ChampSet podcast, the podcast for champions. What's up? It's your boy Reemus from Reemus Boxing, and listen, I'm the doubt killer, belief filler, the one that's gonna convince you that you're a winner. And round here, we're a gang, we're an army, we're a squad of the most ambitious fighters and athletes, and we do everything to get the win because to us, allowing a loss is a sin. This is the ChampSet podcast. And today we're going to be talking about the fight on the weekend between Canelo and Daniel Jacobs. And if you missed it, which you probably didn't, because it's a big fight, you should know the result by now. But if you did, Canelo, of course, got the unanimous decision against the IBF middleweight champion Daniel Jacobs. So this obviously means that Canelo is now the unified champion with, I believe, Andre, the only one holding the other side of the belts. But what can we learn from this, and what can an ambitious fighter take from this to add to his game? That's what the focus of the podcast is, so we're going to keep it around there. But basically, Canelo he dominated the direction of the fight, but it was still competitive. He dominated the early goings of the fight, and going up after about round 3, round 4, round 5, that's when Daniel Jacobs started to pick up the pace, and the end was way more competitive than the first half of the fight. So it's interesting to see, right, what Daniel Jacobs said after the fight, and this is what I want you to learn from it. Daniel Jacobs said that for the first couple of rounds, it was hard to get the rhythm and the tempo of Canelo. He also said that Canelo was less aggressive than he thought he was, or thought he was going to be, I mean. So even though Canelo was going forward for the first couple of rounds, which we saw, and he was like backing Daniel Jacobs up, it's important to take note of the unpredictability factor that Canelo has. And I think this is the type of stuff that makes a fighter elite. The ability to be, one, unpredictable to the point where even though he's world famous and people would watch him and people can study him, he still can get in the ring with someone and present puzzling problems. You see, people think that with fighting, it's just about being strong. I'm just gonna will my way through this. I'm just gonna really want this fight. But they're not. They're just discounting the importance of the IQ. One of the most important things in all of just the strategies of war and fighting, which is the same thing really, and I mean fighting as in physically, but also you see the same principle multiply in other facets of life, like business, or even like the art of seduction and influence and all of these things. Deception is very important. So one thing I saw Canelo doing was he was being smart, right? He was being smart, but with his head movement and stuff. But there was one moment where I saw he punched from 3 different, I think it was 4 or 5 different positions from one head roll. And I was like, wow, this is the little things that other fighters wouldn't do. Even though it's a little moment, it's little moments like that elite fighters can capitalize on and make the difference between them and good fighters. And Daniel Jacobs is an elite fighter. So when you're that consistent, which is another point we have to make about someone like Canelo, who now has to be looked at as someone who is making a good claim to be the greatest fighter on the planet just because of his resume. We look at Canelo and we see he's tremendously consistent. He's only lost once, remember, to Floyd Mayweather. He's, of course, the draw and the win against Triple G wasn't so clear cut that it just stamps out and edges him out, it almost seems like. But at the same time, to draw with someone like Triple G isn't really a bad thing, especially when you're being so consistent. Like, Triple G is a tremendous fighter. So when you're drawing or having close fights with guys like that, that is how you measure how great someone is, by the measure of, or the ability of the opponent. So the fact that it is so close with someone like Triple G shows that he's a good fighter. And yeah, you could say, oh, maybe Triple G won that first one or whatever you want to say, but he done better in the second one. And to be honest, that's what makes a great fighter is his consistency over great challenges. And that's one thing that's always important for fighters to know, is if you want to be consistent in the ring, you have to be consistent in your lifestyle, in your life, with your thinking. We see some fighters like I think like Adrian Broner, right? His lifestyle to me just doesn't seem consistent. So he says to himself, like, I'm gonna win this fight, but it's like it seems like, I don't, I can't say this for sure, but it seems from the outside like he would take one fight serious and the other fight not as serious, and the space in between not serious. So he wants to get in and just all of a sudden get serious, which is just not going to happen. But with Canelo, it seems like his lifestyle, his fighting is just consistent through and through. You know what I'm saying? So also, going back to the boxing IQ that I want to admire from him is the fact that he prides counterpunching and defense. And I'm gonna just keep saying this till people really get it, because they really don't. But every great fighter is a good counter fighter, and not just I don't just mean counter punching, right? But I mean he's a counter fighter. Like different scenarios and challenges he's presented with, he's able to find the counter to it. That's why Floyd Mayweather was the greatest adapter, they say, right? Because he's a good counter fighter in all the areas. And he prides defense, which some fighters like that are Mexican. For example, I've been to the Wildcard Gym a few times or whatever, and there's like a strong Mexican background like in that city, right? So when I was watching the fighters fight, I would see that especially the Mexicans, right, who are good fighters and stuff, but especially the Mexicans, you see this with guys like Brandon Rios and Antonio Margarita, and even like a lot of the Mexican fighters that have been aligned with Robert Garcia. You see that these a lot of Mexican fighters pride ego almost too much, I would say, to the point where they're coming through, they're taking punches, but yeah, I'm gonna land another one, so it's all right. But what I admire about Canelo, and what I would want so many other fighters, or if you're a champion on the ChampSet podcast, is what I want for you, is to pride not being hit, even if you do want to be that come forward fighter, right? So Canelo, even though you can see he gets excited when it's exchanges and he wants to be tough, he doesn't let it get to his, not even his head, I'd suppose. He doesn't let it get to his heart and just goes, oh, I'm gonna keep just punching. I'm just gonna keep throwing punches, even though I'm taking shots. He actually takes a moment, resets himself, right? Will do the head movement thing, slip, slip, roll, roll. Make sure he even if he takes one punch, it's limited to like one punch. One thing I'll say about Daniel Jacobs is he did land in the later stages a lot of combinations, more so than the first half, right? But still, I'm still not going to take away from the fact that Canelo still does pride defense. And then we get to Daniel Jacobs, who also should be admired, because what I saw before the fight was, I saw that excitement, I saw that ambition, I saw that desire to want to be a great fighter who wanted to take on the great challenge. And it didn't seem like someone saying like he's just saying it, right? Because I saw this morning, I saw Andy Ruiz, who's AJ's next opponent, say, hey, I'm coming for you, AJ, I'm coming for you. And I'm thinking to myself, nah, you ain't coming for AJ. Like, I don't want to, I know some people say, oh, he's a good fighter. Oh, yeah, he probably all right. But I can't see, when I look into his eyes, through the camera, of course, I don't see that he truly believes that he's really coming for AJ. And there's a certain energy a man has when he's saying something with conviction, which I saw Daniel Jacobs say, even though he lost, right? I feel like Daniel Jacobs mentally isn't as strong or as intelligent as Canelo, which is why he lost the fight. But because if you're good up here, if you're good in the mind, then it's actually easier to settle into a fight. To be honest, you don't really need to take as many rounds off in the beginning to get into the flow, right? That's why psychological warfare is so important sometimes. But Daniel Jacobs did have that energy of, yeah, I'm coming to get him, I'm coming to get him. And he didn't have regrets about it. Some fighters almost have this regretful feeling about the fact that they really want to win and really want to obliterate that man. But no, you should want to obliterate that man. I'm not sure if they was joking about like almost play acting in the weigh-in when Canelo pushed Daniel Jacobs. It did look a bit fake to me, but I mean, I can't say that for sure, but I still like that. I still like that. Hey, I'm coming for what you got. I'm coming for what you got. So you better bring everything because you're gonna need it. And although he lost, he brought that. And you might say, yeah, he did lose. But the fact is, the chances of you winning a fight and getting the result you want is higher if you have that mindset, even if you lost. Right? Some people are afraid to have it because they're scared to lose, but you're more likely to win if you have it. So you might as well have it. It just makes sense. It makes logical sense to go with the option that is most likely to benefit you. So you got to have that tenacity when you're coming to fight. Yeah, I'm coming for what you got. Yeah, the everyone else is doubting me, but I'm still coming for you. I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you. Got to have that energy. And if you don't, well, you're gonna get left with the competition. You're gonna get left behind with the rest of the challenges. But if you listening to if you're listening to this podcast, if you're riding with Reemus Boxing, then I can be assured that I'm going to be with you on this journey to make sure you ain't just one of the rest. You're one of the guys that the other fighters want to be scared of or have to be scared of because you're so ambitious and you're so focused and you're so determined. But that's all I'm going to say today. Stay focused. Let's make sure you take what the energy, right, and the energy of this podcast and literally try to implement it and internalize it. And yeah, let's get this fucking greatness, man. Anyway, take care. Peace. ChampSet.